that we are at the threshold of looking at national capability suddenly getting enhanced because of technology capability of the country. And we have experienced this in the context of some of the advanced countries like for that matter, US. India is a country of young people, a country with the largest demographic dividend. We have a large education system, we have a large enough research and development system. So I think it's important that we should explore ways and means of leveraging these assets, this large potential that we have, and converting that into the true and comprehensive national power. Now, whenever it comes to any, you often hear some country has developed such and such missile, or India has gone on, sent a vehicle all the way up to Mars. There are countries which have developed very special submarines and a variety of platforms. Now, in each one of them, I think the key attributes are number one, stealth, because whatever platform you build, it should be able to maneuver itself without enemy noticing it. And so this feature of stealth, deception, becomes very important. You do that by way of ensuring extremely low radar cross-section. You can do that by a very clever deployment. For example, if you have a platform which is continuously moving, it's very difficult to keep track of where it is at a given point of time. Or you can create some other ways of camouflage, or for that matter, ways of, for example, in a submarine, a platform located deep under sea. So you make sure that you have your platforms which remains, or there is a high probability of that platform remaining undetected by your adversary. The second element is, of course, the speed. The faster the platform can move, better the capability that you have. And that's about creating motive power, that's about creating a very high power to weight ratio, that's about creating agility in your platform. And so that's yet another dimension of adding to the strength capability of your defense equipment. Third is, of course, the precision. If you want to carry out any task, or for that matter, you want to attack, then the precision with which you can attack, your weapon goes and hits at the precise point, what kind of circular error probability you could get, how low you can get to. And so it does two things. Number one, with that, you make sure that you achieve your goal with the least possible collateral damage, because you only want to attack the bad elements and make sure that the innocent elements do not suffer. Or for that matter, you want to create maximum damage, then you must hit at a place where it will cause maximum pain. And then if you have hit with greatest of accuracy, then you can create that maximum pain with the least of the destructive power or least amount of yield. And so certainly very high accuracy is of great importance. And so a very high speed of attack along with very high accuracy of attack makes a weapon what one may describe as a truly lethal weapon, or a weapon which can, or nowadays we hear this term, surgical strike. So you can make a surgical strike without the chance for enemy to intercept if you have such capabilities. And lastly, of course, this question of yield. Higher the yield, higher the deterrence power you possess, and that's, of course, is another aspect in terms of your weapon design, both in terms of weapon design for a given type where you talk about different yields, and also weapon design of different types to get different yields. So that's broadly the picture in terms of the technologies which can be deployed in the on a very generic term. I don't want to get into individual classification of a missile and boat and submarine and things like that, but all of them, they have to meet some of these requirements. Let's break this into now component technologies. We want to achieve this capability at the national level. What are all the component technologies that you must master? And it looks to me, for example, sensors is becoming one of the most important area. Even for things like what one may call wearable devices, a smart soldier, greater the backing that the soldier receives using sensors of different kinds, greater would be his ability and performance capability. For example, one way of putting it, as I am walking, can I see behind the corner, around the corner, which normally you cannot see, but as I am doing, that makes a huge difference in the context of a combat. Or for that matter, the autonomous vehicles which I mentioned, and they could be autonomous vehicle which can move on ground, which can move in air, which can move in water. So imagine a whole armored battalion or a armored brigade consisting of tanks without people, and they are all controlled from a control room, which actually is an intelligent control room backed up by virtual reality. So the people in the control room, they actually get a feel as if they are in the battlefield, sitting in the tank. But the tanks are without any human being fighting out in the battle. It's a completely different dimension, but not unthinkable. Such things can happen. And these are probably the new technology dimensions. For example, electromagnetics. It's not necessary that only explosives need to be the means for explosive power or means for creating damage to the enemy. You can also do a lot of damage using electromagnetics, and also you can actually create area damage, and that too you can do it with with critical electronics, power systems, and things like that, without damaging a lot of infrastructure like buildings and bridges and things like that. So, what I'm trying to say is the developments in science and technology can impact national security in a variety of ways, and we need to identify what is it that we want in terms of systems, then identify to build those systems what are all the disciplines or kind of areas of technology that we should be working. And at the next level, we could also identify what are all the disciplines where the country should be strong. I mentioned electromagnetics. So country should be strong in electromagnetics, not just in the context of communication, but also in the context of high power electromagnetics or high power electronics, where it can deliver megawatts or even gigawatts of power in a fraction of a second. And that's again a huge capability. And I think these are new areas where artificial intelligence I mentioned, intelligent platforms, and so on and so forth. So I think we need to look at what are the actual objects, technology products that we need, what are the component technologies that we must master, and then what are all the disciplines where we should be very capable. And if we do that, then we can sort of divert our capabilities so built towards different objectives that may emerge from time to time. I would conclude this talk by two more points. One, I want to just read out a list of, for example, the 10 most disruptive technologies which people have visualized. And these lists you can find on internet. But just for completeness sake, and similarly, I would also read out a list of areas which DARPA, which I mentioned earlier, considers important in terms of securing the future. So first, the disruptive technologies. For example, autonomous weapon systems. And it says to be able to counter the threats beyond the speed of thought. Even before enemy can think of creating a stress, some threat to us, can we counter it? Big data tools, decision making, not just on the basis of what I see or what I get through instrumentation or communication, but analyze the whole scene using a large number of sensors, large amount of information, modeling them comprehensively, and get a comprehensive but correct picture to make a right decision. Holograms, to create some kind of artificial world, virtual reality, at least for purpose of training, or super-powered soldiers, hypersonic missiles and space planes, drones manufactured on demand. As the demand arises, can I manufacture a drone and deploy them? The invincible vehicles moving at extremely high speeds with very high degree of stealth, inexhaustible power source, jam-proof reliable communications, revolutionary stealthy and low-cost warships. On the DARPA list, again, there are some very interesting listing, and particularly students in sciences and engineering, you may find it very interesting. For example, assuring dominance of electromagnetic spectrum in a war zone, extremely important. Position, navigation and timing without GPS, because GPS may be disabled for some reason. So can we have alternative and a better system? Air superiority, hypersonics, robust capability in space, maritime agility, exercising full control on ground, defense against terrorism, deriving meaning from big data, which we saw earlier, synthetic biology, new neurotechnologies, control over infectious diseases, breaking through language barrier. You get into a different territory, they speak different language, we speak. How do you now govern them, or how do you control them? And deep ocean satellites. So these are some of, so the point I'm trying to make is, here is United States, and look at what kind of things they are thinking about. And I think it's equally important that if we want to ensure India's security, we must be able to also think through what are our requirements, what are our challenges in years to come, and how we should be preparing. Clearly, it's not necessary that our challenges will be identical to some of the advanced countries in the world. And so we should be able to custom design, custom develop products to meet our requirement. And that brings me to my last point, which I'll finish in 5 minutes and stop. And that is, we have, as I said, we have a large education system, we have a large R&D system, but our ability to translate our investments into technology and make India technologically strong, that efficiency, I think, needs to be improved considerably. Take this example. You look at the expenditure that we make on R&D or science and technology. And obviously there are, countries like Israel, countries like United States, China, most of the advanced countries, they spend something like, some spend around 2%, some spend around 3%, some spend even around 4% or more of their GDP in science and technology. We spend only 0.8%. So this is one aspect of our policy correction that we need to make. But there is another side to this, and that is, if you look at the total expenditure, our R&D expenditure, and compare that, I'm not saying compare with US or China, obviously they spend much more than us. But compare that with countries like Israel, compare that with countries like Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, or for that matter, even United Kingdom. And the data shows that we spend more money than these countries. The question to ask is, why is it that we are not as strong as these countries in technology terms? So when this I was discussing, somebody said, no, but we are a big country, large number of people, so our resources must be getting spread very thin, and so we don't get output. So you can do another back of envelope calculation, look at total R&D expenditure and divide by total number of full-time equivalents in science and technology. And that number that you get per scientist expenditure is comparable with the best in the world. So saying that resources are getting spread thin, at least on a gross basis, is not valid. And so I think we must do a very deep soul searching as to what is it that we need to correct to enhance that efficiency of conversion of our investment in R&D into national technological capability, an extremely important point. There is also another aspect connected with the priorities that we must have. For example, and these are all, you can do this using information available on the internet. Look at the top 10 or 15 items of export from our country. And also look at top 10 or 15 items of import into India. And I would have thought that these two lists will be completely different, because some areas of our strength we export and something which we don't have we import. For example, oil, hydrocarbon, crude oil. Obviously we don't have, so we import it a lot, and it's a top item of import. Understandable. Even there we should do technology to create artificial hydrocarbons, but that's another story. But when most of the items, 12 out of 15 in this list are common items, we export those items, we import those items. But our import